Hello and welcome to episode 35 of the Let's Run Facebook Ads, the podcast. Today's podcast, you're going to be joined by James and Olivia, as I'm taking a well-deserved break. On this episode, James and Olivia discuss the shift in Generation Z and Millennials' shopping habits and how this research can be used in your advertising. Definitely one you need to listen to, definitely one you're going to learn from. Enjoy this episode.
And we're live.
Hello.
Hi, Olivia.
How are you?
You all right?
I'm
Good,
good,
you?
thanks. Yeah.
What's really annoying about this podcast is obviously we say, "Oh, hey, you're right." We speak to each other hourly,
Yeah. You can't get rid of me.
and the
That's why.
same with Nick. No. So when they hear people like, "Oh, they don't sound like they really like each other," it's just because we talk to each other every hour on the hour.
I know. Yeah, bit boring, really, aren't we?
So we are, but you probably noticed that Nick isn't here, and the reason is Nick's really busy. So we tried to do our recording on Tuesday, but he fobbed me off. And he's busy again today and tomorrow. So Olivia and I thought we'd do a little roadcast.
I know, exciting. Little special guest today. It's my second appearance on the podcast.
You're back, Liv. You're back.
I'm back.
You're back. Well, I know I texted you last night, Liv, and obviously the people that listen, but I was reading a report last night from a friend of mine who works in the fashion and apparel sector, and this is all about Gen Z and millennials and how they're shopping, essentially. So for a lot of audience that are in fashion, obviously they're selling e-commerce products online. I thought there was a lot of data here that I was just really interested in, and I know, Liv, I've sent you a few sort of screenshots last night.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought we'd go through this. I thought it'd be really interesting because some of the stuff I've seen on there is just, I'm quite shocked at personally. And I don't know what your initial opinion is, Liv, when you've seen some of it here.
Yeah, to be honest, I think over last year, shopping habits have changed massively, haven't they? So it's really interesting when you can see a new report that's released like this and it's results that you necessarily wouldn't have thought about. And I guess it's impacting all aspects of life, whether it's shopping on high street, shopping online and things like that. So yeah, I'm excited to dive into more of the results and see what you're geeking out over.
Yeah, well, especially from the millennial side of things, the 25 to 40-year-olds. Obviously, that's the bracket that I'm in.
I'm in.
And yeah, I was just and yourself.
Just about.
But yeah, I was just intrigued, really. But yeah, so let's look at the first little bit. But yeah, I was, like I said, the reason why I was geeking out was just some of the stuff I was just like, I do not believe this for toffee, some of this stuff. So Liv, where would you like to start? Shall we? We'll go through the bar charts as I'm going down this report. People obviously can't see this. So shall we start with the first bit, which is, how did you prefer to shop for clothes, accessories or shoes pre-pandemic? So you've got physical stores, only 43% of Gen Z and 47% of millennials would prefer physical stores, which I don't think that's a stat that really shocked me, really.
No, I think so. I think that, I guess online's been sort of up and coming over the last couple of years, more so than ever. So I don't think that stat really is far different from what I would do in terms of shopping online and in physical stores. I guess there's more choice online nowadays, but physical store is more of an experience, isn't it?
It is, and some of the data that we will go into shortly, I guess really emphasize is that the physical store is more of an experience, isn't it? I think with online, something I saw last night was a lot of consumers are worried about sizing, etc., and you just can't get that via online, can you really?
No, and definitely post-pandemic as well. Everyone has no clue what size they are anymore. After all the additional drinks in the warm gardens last year, more takeaways.
No, that, to be fair, that is a very, very valid point.
Yeah.
But we had online, and then you've also got mobile, and there was sort of 28% said online, and then 23% of people said they would prefer to shop for clothes, accessories, or shoes on mobile. And I was expecting that to be more, to be brutally honest.
I wonder whether there's that do they know that obviously, is it online? Do they mean like physically on their laptop? You know, like what is it? Is it that they're shopping on an app, like on a shopping app on their phone, or is it they're signing
Well,
into
if you look
store?
at
Is
so
that
if you
the
look at
difference?
mobile, so you've got 23% of people, and again, we're looking at millennials here.
Mm.
23% of people would, and this was obviously they prefer, and this is pre-pandemic, prefer to shop via mobile. 28% was online, so I'm guessing your laptops, your desktops, and then the 47% of millennials. I know there's some discrepancies, there's 0.8 and stuff, but I've not obviously gone to that granularity. But yeah, I was expecting that to be more. But then if you add on the mobile and the online together, you know, you're more looking at 50%. So it is that pretty much even split, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I guess it's where you live as well. Because if it was pre-pandemic and you're not too far from a local shop, you might pop in, or you know, like before COVID, like people would way more like go and have a day out and visit different places for shopping trips. So it is going to be that split because, as we just said, it's a massive experience going on a shop, and a lot of people dedicate a whole day to go and have a wander around the shops and picking up things they may need for like a holiday or a weekend away, like girls' night out, something like that. So it's that whole, you go as a group a lot of the time. Like I know me and my friends do before holidays and things, are going to like a splurge on shopping together in Birmingham for the day and have a few drinks while you're at it. So, you know, having that split, I think like day-to-day stuff online's definitely coming out. It's one of those special occasions. I think people are still going into physical stores.
Yeah, and I think especially since obviously the pandemic, people aren't able to still go out properly as they were prior to the pandemic, were they? So, you know, something, you know, going on and obviously scrolling down here, 51% of people, and again, we're just looking at millennials at this stage, 53% of millennials were buying less clothes, accessories, or apparel during the pandemic in the last 12 months. You know, 53% were spending less on that, which is a lot, isn't it? Yeah, it's a lot of people that aren't going out and buying those, you know, whether it's Boohoo or ASOS, obviously they're big ones, aren't they? But that's a huge amount.
Yeah, it's like a massive loss of revenue for a lot of people, and that's why I guess quite a lot of businesses have unfortunately gone under over the last year as well, isn't it?
Well, like yourself, you know, during the pandemic, what did you and Jake, you know, what did you guys do? Did you buy any clothes?
Maybe like in the first like 2-3 months, we were like, right, let's stock up on all your joggers, your jumpers, like your chilling clothes that you know you're going to wear time and time again. And after that, it's a bit like, well, we don't need to dress up for anyone else. We're just slobbing it out on the sofa at the weekend as we are every night because there's nowhere to go out. So it's just, you don't want to waste your money. You were sort of like, this is a prime time that you're not getting, feel like you have to go out and spend money. It's the time you can like save for all those things that you've been wanting to save for quite a long time for. So your priorities change, don't they, in that time?
Yeah, and even if we don't look at it from a fashion perspective, we look at it from a work perspective, especially over the last 12 months, we've seen that suit and tie suddenly go from a lot more casual wear.
Yeah.
So even though we're seeing a less percentage of people, you know, I guess shopping for fashion and stuff, I do believe that is going to creep up because you aren't going to want to go to work in some, I don't know, dodgy t-shirt you've bought from, I don't know any shops do I live, so I'm not good at this. But you're not, you know, especially, you know, with a lot of these, you know, sort of trendy industries that are coming out now, Facebook ad agencies and, you know, PPC and all that stuff, you know, you go in the office and, you know, you want to look cool, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. You want to look cool, but not inappropriate as well. Because I guess like some people some businesses won't care if you walk around in jeans and a crop top, but somebody else might care. So it's fashion, but trying to make it a little businessy and sort of. I know, like for me, definitely, it's you want to be like comfy and look cool, but also you don't want to be like wearing the same things every single day like you'd wear at home. So you can actually differentiate between work and home life sometimes as well. I don't know about
that's interesting.
I mean, I'm a bit like in between. I'm not really bothered, but I know like some of my friends, like their workplaces are far more relaxed as they are going back a couple of days a week, but they still want to have that like different wardrobes. They feel like at the weekend, when we do go out, they're not then wearing the same things that they associate with work. So there is that difference as well that will be coming as places start to open up a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd never thought of it actually from a someone wanting a different sort of clothes for work and obviously personal life, even though it's not, like I said, shirt and tie or shirts and dresses and stuff. Yeah, I never thought about that actually.
Yeah. Because I guess
Uh,
like obviously you spend a lot of time at work, don't you? But also when you want to go out, you want to feel a little bit different rather than just shoving on that same t-shirt you wore at work on Tuesday.
yeah, yeah. Although I do wear the same t-shirt and shorts
Trainers.
until they have to literally get washed. So I'm
You're
not.
still rocking the Christmas jumper, aren't you, with your penguin on it?
Yeah, still around. Yeah, still around. Yeah. I haven't got many jumpers left. So again, I'm really not. When reading this report, and we'll go on to one in a minute, I'm just like, whoa. But the next bit. So once the pandemic is over, will you shop online? So you've got 20% of millennials more than before the pandemic. So that's a lot. But then the stat here, 25% of people less than the pandemic. And then you've got 36% of people which are saying same as before. And then you've got 12 which are undecided, don't really know. But it's interesting to see 25% less. And I think, like you said, in terms of that physical store aspect, maybe, is that because they've just, obviously these questions are being asked and, during, we're obviously still in lockdown, aren't we? So maybe they're just trying to get out more. But do you think that stat's real?
Do you know what? It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because I think that is skewed to a little bit more going out and shopping. But I know, especially like me, there's been a lot of push over sort of the last 6-8 months about going to support local, and whether it be high street shops or your local small businesses. I think that will come into play in a lot of people's minds, that they haven't been able to be physically open for 18 months. So why would I not go into shop in there to support them? I think that's a massive mindset shift rather than convenience. Don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, well, the bit that I was just a bit, because the millennials, obviously, that's the 25 to 40 at the moment. That'd be their age range. And then you've got the Gen Z, isn't it? I don't know who's thought about that. Who's come up with that?
One.
So that's 6 to 24. And what was really interesting was, in terms of 35% of them would shop online more than before the pandemic, which I sort of get, younger, they've basically grown up with a mobile in their hand. But what was really interesting was 31% of them said they would actually prefer to shop in store more prior to the pandemic. So even though that's, because obviously we're used to, going to shops growing up, going in town, getting £1 for the bus and stuff, But yeah, I was just intrigued about that one, because 30% of, especially that younger age, 6 to, that's quite a big mentality shift.
I think like of Gen Z and stuff more now, stuff being like a bit more preachy online about, as I just said, like supporting local and things like that. I think it's a whole moral thing. Like, is it that they've been brought up to stand for what they believe in and wanting shops to stay open and supporting the local businesses? It could all come down to that. Like, is it that they've been over the last year or so, not, I don't want to say brainwash, because brainwash is not the right word, but
probably
but
not.
no, probably not. But like just made to feel more than like pre-pandemic that shops are important. If we don't support them, they're gonna go.
Yeah, I guess the, like you said, the shopping locally. I know American Express tried to, they've done a few campaigns, haven't they? I think it's spend £15 and get 5 back or something. I think, if you've got an Amex card, in your local business. And like I said, we've obviously social media, especially with obviously what we do and some of the clients we have that are very localized. I think, it's nice to get that atmosphere back and that sort of local community aspect back, because it has been lost over the last 10 years. I don't care what anyone says, even like your neighbors and stuff, it's not like it was when I was growing up. You didn't have like a 6-foot fence up. You'd have a half a fence. You know who your neighbors were. So I just, I don't know if that's, like you said, brainwash is probably not the right word, but I definitely feel that we've lost
influenced. That's probably a better word.
Influence. There you go. But I think we have lost some of that. And actually, if we can support local businesses and, you know, some of the local businesses, especially where we are, I know I've mentioned things like Coffee Architects in the past and stuff. You know, that was just a coffee shop that had a queue out the door every weekend.
Oh,
Like an
the
actual queue.
breakfast there is brilliant. And you'd go and sit and you'd think, do I want to wait an hour and a half for a scrambled eggs on toast?
Yeah, which I stress was really good scrambled eggs on toast because I was there
Yeah.
every Friday morning because it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
It-
and it's like now, like you go into some, I know, like in like Urban Outfitters and Topshop, they do make that more expensive. You've got different types, like unique music. Like I know that before obviously Topshop shirt, but Topshop in the Bullring in Birmingham, they used to have a DJ playing there on the weekend. Things like that. They're trying to like draw that audience and make it more of like a destination. So you'd go and spend more time within there. So it's like they are having to think of more like in innovative ways to bring people into the shop rather than online.
Well, you've got to, because it's the world changed. You know, we've got access to so many products and services within seconds. You know, look at Amazon. You know, it's not an experience, but you take experience over speed and convenience.
Yeah.
So you're like, forget that. You know, I've bought stuff. I'm sure you have, and I'm sure everyone, you know, everyone listens to this at some stage. Bought some from Amazon, hasn't fit the bill. And it's been so cheap, you can't be asked to send it back.
Oh yeah, it's more hassle taking it to the post office.
Exactly. You know, so they, you know, that's, you know, that, you know, they've sewn their market up for, you know, for smaller brands that are trying to, you know, go into certain niches, and they've got, you know, quality products. You know, you've got to think of how they're going to, you know, how that experience, and especially in an online setting, it's hard. You know, you can't have a DJ box in the corner of your e-commerce store, can you?
No. Well, I mean, you could, but it'd be a bit different, wouldn't it?
So online likes and dislikes. So, you know, you like this. What do you most like about shopping online? So we'll start with the Gen Z. This is weird, and I don't know how this is. 37% of them said it's relaxing. Online shopping is relaxing.
Oh, I would not agree with that. It's stressful.
No. Well, yeah. Well, some of the stats here are a bit. Yeah. Well, some of the stats here are a bit bizarre. So you've got 37% said it's relaxing. You've got 37% said it's fun. 25% said it's inspiring.
I guess I could agree with that one. In fact, especially like people that are very much into fashion stuff, or even if you don't, because you've got models and they're like dressed in like a whole head to toe outfit, you can get inspiration from it, and you would shop based on what you see the model wear. You might shop a lot of the time now, like if you're on ASOS, you can press like shop the whole look, and you can put every item in your basket. So I would agree with that.
I think the inspiring one is, the inspiring one is one that really sort of stood out to me. And I think everyone who's listening who's got an e-commerce store, I think really needs to sort of look at that and think, okay, how can I inspire that user to buy from me? You know, because, you know, Nick and I mentioned Gymshark on the last podcast. Not everyone's Gymshark, you know, unfortunately, and you haven't got those budgets and you haven't got that reach, etc., etc. But, you know, using Facebook ads, and how can you inspire that user who has never heard of you to want to come into your ecosystem? I think that one, especially from the Gen Z, you know, that 6 to 24 age range, you know, obviously 18 to 24 for us from a Facebook perspective, you know, these guys have got disposable income, which we'll go on to in a second. So how, you know, something I would, you know, really stress here is obviously with these stats, is that's one that really, like I said, reached, you know, really sort of leapt off the screen to me, was out of 20, you know, 1 in 4 of that age range, they feel it's inspiring to shop online and they're being inspired. So yeah, I think for me, even for some of our customers live, I think it's something that we need to look at, and actually, what are we doing on our own advertising and ads that we're running? How can we inspire that user more? Because it's quite a lot, isn't it? 1 in 4, that's a huge population of people.
Yeah, and I guess some of that inspiration, like as we all know, like Instagram has become massive in terms of like influencers and brand deals and stuff like that. So you are more influenced on Instagram than ever before, and obviously you do take like influence from those. Inspiration from those influencers, because you're like, oh, they're constantly adding like swipe up links and things like that. So I think you've got to like utilize platforms as a whole, and this is where really well organic and paid both come in together, because if you do have that organic following, you can inspire them on your organic like Instagram grid content, and paid ads just elevates that
massively. And then the
Mm.
next one, so obviously you've got, and this is where I think when you look at all these stats, I think some of them you've got to intertwine them two and go, okay, right, I need to inspire my user or my prospect. But then this percentage here, so 44% of Gen Z, they enjoy it because they can shop around for the best price. So it's all good and well bringing people into your ecosystem or onto your e-commerce store, but how do we keep them there and not want to search around for that best price? And I think that's where the conversion rate really comes into it. We need to make sure that when someone hits that, whether it's that product page or they've added to cart, whatever that is, how can you get them over the line? Because 18 to 24-year-olds, 1 in 2, are probably going to click off and shop around for the best price. Again, huge stats, huge population.
I guess.
And then the millennials, the tight asses, 52%.
And do you know why I think that is? Like throwaway fashion, like the whole like the really fast-paced fashion industry. Like people now like don't like invest in clothes like once before. Like I know that Jake, like he will spend more money because he knows he's going to keep that particular t-shirt or jumper for like years and years and years. Like this morning he's got these, I don't know what there's some Nike shoes. They're like 10 years old, like some Forrest Gump edition. They're like, if you buy them now, they're super rare to buy. A bit of like the stitchings come off of them. He was devastated. And it's because he knows like when he bought them 10 years ago, they might have been like 60 quid for a pair of trainers. It was quite a lot back then. But he invested in those because he knew that he would have them for a long time because he loves them. Whereas now, I think nowadays, it's very much like I can go to your Boohoo, your Primark and get a £10 t-shirt and replace it quite easily.
Wow. And before I read this report, I was exactly, obviously, look, we've seen how quickly Boohoo's erupted and all the rest of it. But I'm just scrolling down now to find it. So,
do you now disagree then, do you?
I'm disagreeing. So, here you go, here it is. Here it is. So, would you say environmental sustainability and ethical trading have become more of a factor in how you buy clothes? And pretty much 50% of both millennials and Gen Z said exactly the same. It's definitely something they consider, which I wasn't really expecting that massively.
No.
I was expecting that to be low because, like you said, the Gen Z population, obviously with, things, social media, especially, getting the message out there, especially since the pandemic has gone on, I would expect there to be higher than millennials, but the fact that both were around 50% was high. Because I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting that to be, don't really care. I don't really, from my perspective, as long as this t-shirt or this dress or whatever comes to me, I'm happy. So, yeah, that was one thing. When I saw, I was like, oh, not sure about that. Not sure. So next little stat, Liv. So what do you enjoy about shopping in stores? So Gen Z and millennials, pretty much 53% or 55% enjoy trying on clothes, accessories and shoes within a physical store, which I was expecting. But when we look at this, how can you get around that on an e-commerce setting? It's very hard, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, like ASOS are doing in sort of similar-ish, that you can like shop now, pay later with like Klarna, is it called? So you can basically you can basically like buy all of your clothes, try them on, you've got a certain amount of time to keep or return them before the money's taken from your account. So like, is that their way of sort of saying you can try on all this stuff without purchasing it?
But not everyone's ASOS.
No, I know maybe that is an idea, that obviously how people like get into that.
It's hard, isn't it? Because
the physical shops are doing.
You think for some of these smaller brands that they've got an idea or they've got a design or whatever that may be. Some of our clients, smaller clients live. It's very hard for some of these. When I'm looking at this, and this is why I spent so much time reading it yesterday, was some of these things they just can't do, physically cannot do, like they're trying on clothes and accessories and shoes. Next did it very well for years, didn't they? That sort of try and then you sort of pop back on store. But if you're a mama and papa outfit, up in Leeds, or and you're only selling 15 items a day, which is profitable and it makes them a living. Some of these things they just can't implement, can they really?
I guess stock levels and stuff as well. They might not have those 2,000 items of one garment like your big companies have.
That's a very valid point, actually, in terms of stock levels.
Yeah.
Well, look at Nomad,
it's money. Well, yeah, it's money and space, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's hard, isn't it, with this?
Well, yeah, but Nomad had to turn his ads off because he'd run out of stock and was struggling to get them all back in, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, that's nuts.
Nice
What do
problem to
you?
have.
It's a problem we'd all like to have. What do you not enjoy about shopping in physical stores? So, 65% for both Gen Z and Millennials were crowds, which is interesting. Queues over 70% for both. And this is real. Lack of customer bathrooms, 35% for both. I don't know how that's got in there, if I'm honest. It's not one thing that was jump out at me with physical stores, what annoys me.
No. But you always think, oh, could nip to the loo, but they're like, oh no, sorry, they're only for staff. They have to then go back to the main shopping centre and use their loos.
It's not an issue, though, is it?
I wouldn't say that would stop me from shopping in the store. Definitely a very odd pet peeve.
Well, not on this. It's 35% for both.
Yeah.
They must have some weak bladders.
Yeah.
So, and then 25-ish% for both for issues with staff. So that's interesting because, again, from an e-commerce perspective, you can take that away. There are some things I'm seeing here which, like the bathroom issue, we're taking that away. They can shop while on the loo if they need to.
Wow, that is true.
Traveling to store, taking that away. Crowds, taking that away. Queues, taking that away. Traveling to the store, taking that away. Sizes being out of stock, they're taking that away in a way because obviously you can see what's in stock and what's not in stock, and issues with staff. So everything that people do not enjoy about shopping in physical stores, e-commerce pretty much nails it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's literally it's convenience at the end of the day.
Well, if you've got an issue with every single one of these, I would say just shop online.
Well, yeah, and if you think, I would say as well, like for me, it's like opening times. Like a lot of people like work fairly bog standard 9-to-5 roles, yeah. So a lot of clothes shops, it might stay some nights like open till 8 o'clock, but obviously in the evening, if you had your dinner, sitting watching the TV, you can so easily scroll on your phone and do some shopping outside of work hours when like a physical store wouldn't be open. That's what I would also add to that as well.
It's so easy now, isn't it?
So easy.
I know it's about Amazon. It's too easy. Amazon, just I remember when the pandemic first hit, the Amazon man round me, bless him, he must have been busy.
He would need several sets of new tyres, he would have.
They need to sort out their packaging though, because some of the things I've purchased, they're like the little box and you get a fucking huge, it's naughty really, they need to sort that out.
Yeah.
That's not good. So here's one then. Here's the next one. What makes you return to a fashion brand or retailer? So you've got price, which is 49% for Gen Z and 59% for millennials. I think millennials are a lot more price conscious from reading this and just in my own little world because I'm in that bracket. I don't know about you, Liv, but I think price is definitely something I look at more than probably the younger generation. Might be wrong. That's just my perception.
I think so. I guess like as you get older, not saying everybody, but a lot of people go on to purchase houses, have kids, all the next steps, and you are a bit more money conscious, aren't you? Because you've got everything else you need to pay for.
Yeah. The one thing that really stood out for me with this was quality. What makes you return to that brand? And pretty much 65% of both millennials and Gen Z said, that's the quality of the items is one thing that really makes them return and create that brand loyalty. Which again, from an e-commerce perspective, if you haven't got a product you believe in or isn't very good and the quality isn't there, if you are getting purchases and you want that lifetime value to be as high as it possibly can do, and you want these guys and girls to come and purchase 2, 3, 4, 5 times a month, or even a week, or even a year, you've got to make sure your quality is there. And I think that's just bog standard now, really, don't you? But that's why the drop shippers of the world have found it harder, because they're not getting those lifetime values that they once were. It's not as easy now on Facebook. You used to be able to run a traffic campaign and get a few sales, as we know, Liv. That don't work anymore. You might get very lucky now and again. But quality, I think, because when you buy stuff, Liv, would you go for more Boohoo, or is it more actually like Jake, bought those trainers, but he knows he's going to spend a little bit more money, but make sure they last a long time?
I'm like sort of a 50-50, because I think in terms of like more like nicer stuff, like going out stuff, I would always spend more money because you can wear it over and over again. Whereas like I know, like especially during the pandemic, I'd be like, oh, just buy a pair of joggers for a tenner, because I'm going to be wearing them every day, and don't be wearing like more expensive stuff because it will wear out quicker. Does that make sense? You're not gonna. So I would definitely say, yeah, I'm more money conscious, but wouldn't want to be just spending multiple lots of like £10 on joggers. So I guess it's an occasion. What are you wearing that piece of clothing or accessory to?
Yeah.
But you definitely do get better quality the higher price you get. 100%. In anything, whether it's food, wine, clothes, they're all better the more you spend.
You have someone listening to this now that's got a really cheap, really good product going, well, actually, Liv, you're wrong.
Wow. Yeah.
If you are,
wrong.
email her.
If you are, yeah. Prove me wrong.
Yeah. The other one that, again, sort of leaped out to me was predictability of fit. And I think that's one, especially from an apparel perspective, and especially from women more than men, isn't it, really? 34% of millennials, that was one thing they were really conscious of, and making sure that they've returned to that brand, is that how is that going to fit me? Even for me, with certain shorts, sizes, like 32 is too big, but then 30 is too tight. But then some 32s are okay, but then some 32s are massive, even though it should just be 32. I don't know why this is the case. But once you've got a good fit of clothing, or you've got a brand that you like that fit you, I'm assuming you've done the same and gone, I'm going to go back there.
Yeah, 100%. It's like if you I find jeans really difficult to fit me in great in all places. Like for example, Next are their own type of jeans that I love. So I've got the same jean but in multiple different colours, or fit, because then you well, I know if I order a size 14, it's going to fit me. It doesn't matter what else. Whereas if I go Primark, I'm like my heart hurts.
Jeans are weird actually, because I do the same. I go once a year. What's the store where it's dark inside and there's always young, good-looking people that work there?
Hollister.
That one. Jeans are perfect. 2 for 50 quid, 2 a year, done. I'm absolutely in. They work a treat though.
Yeah.
They're cheap, 25 quid a pair of jeans. They're fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I'm with you on that. Hollister.
Definitely.
Bit intimidated going in there all the time. It's like, God, there's so many good-looking people there.
Oh yeah, definitely shouldn't have had that McDonald's before I walked in here.
Yeah, what am I doing in here?
Yeah, I agree.
So here we go. So I'm going to go down to the power of social media now, which is again a little side note, or a little side of this report. So, have you ever purchased from a fashion brand or retailer by clicking through from a social post? And this was pretty much 50%, 53% had said yes, and 40. Well, what's interesting actually, from 2021. So in 2020, it was 51%, and it went up by 2% in 2021. What was interesting was the no in 2020 was 48%, and that shot up to 51%. So that's quite 3% across that entire age range is huge. So it means that people are a lot more conscious of online and seeing these ads and going, actually, yeah, that's for me. Let's go and purchase. Which I guess from especially Instagram, obviously Instagram is still, I believe, in its infancy from a shopping perspective. It's nice to see that people are doing that, especially on Instagram, because even though we live from our own ads, we get a lot of conversions via Facebook. Instagram, we just don't get as many, do we, on a lot of products?
No, there's just not that. Yeah, as you just said, it's just Instagram is so new to like Instagram shopping in that respect that there's still lots to be learned. And like it's that trust thing, I think. Like Instagram is majority like influencer led, isn't it? And like celebrities and people in the public eye. And it's like, are they like promoting products because they believe in them or because they're getting paid for it? So I think it's that thing as well, as that trust process on Instagram still, but also then the shopping experience.
Yeah. No, you are right. And then the one here is, do you browse any of these social media platforms for fashion and inspiration? So I'm going to hit you with a question now, Liv.
Mm-hmm.
Gen Z, where do they most go for their inspiration? And where do millennials most go? You can have one. You can have one of each.
Gen Z, I would say Instagram.
Correct. Millennials?
I mean, I would say Instagram as well because but
you're right. You are right.
I was going to say Facebook, it's a massive.
Facebook's not far behind for millennials, whereas TikTok is
that's my second option.
TikTok is just behind Instagram for Gen Z. And again, this is where some of our clients as well live. I know that right now your products are selling on Instagram or they're selling on Facebook because that's where your audience is. But as time goes on, your audiences are going to change where they are, and especially if we're going to the younger audiences, especially in the fashion game. As these people are hitting 18 and we can start marketing to them, where actually are they? Where are your audience? Where are they hanging out? And clearly here, TikTok. Wow, 47% of Gen Z are finding inspiration for what they're purchasing online via TikTok. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is mental. It's been a massive boom, hasn't it? I guess like one limitation to sort of like you can't advertise on TikTok is you have to like be accepted to advertise on TikTok still.
I was going to say from a TikTok perspective, for the people that are listening, you can market for yourselves on there. They are sort of slowly drip feeding advertisers on in terms of the brands. Unfortunately, from an agency perspective right now, there's only a certain number of agencies that are able to market for brands via TikTok. I've been in dialogue with them and we're trying to, we're sort of in the queue as it were. But at the moment we're just like, cheers for coming, you'll be added to the list. It's cheers guys. But if some random guy at TikTok's listen to this, shout us up, please.
Yeah, hit us up.
Probably not. I was expecting YouTube to be higher, and that annoys me in a way, if I'm honest, Lev.
Do you know what? If you would have, say, gone like even 5 years ago, I would say so in terms of YouTube with like hauls by YouTubers was like a massive thing. Like going and doing like we're either online or in physical stores and like people showing what they'd gone and purchased. But I think now Instagram and TikTok are just so big and influential that they just take over that market.
Yeah,
it's just, the cool kids hang out. That's why for Gen Zs.
It's where the cool kids hang out. But I think for people that have e-commerce stores and obviously, they've got an Instagram page, they've got a Facebook page, again, we're just looking at data here. You've got to have a TikTok presence. You've got to in some means. Yes, you've got to. Looking at this, it's and clearly you can see the trajectory. It's crazy, and also 22% of millennials are on there, and they're looking for inspiration on that platform. So even though it's not as big as the 50% of the Gen Z population, that's still a hell of a lot of people that are on TikTok.
Yeah.
So you've got to have a presence. Live. Some of our clients, TikTok. And it's hard, isn't it? Because it's all like, originally it was dancing, wasn't it?
Yeah, dancing, and it is turned more into like a lifestyle type platform in some respects as well. Like people, like you go around with them for their day, like what people do on stories a year, 2 years ago. It's evolving every day.
I see TikTok further down the line being a very much sort of educational platform. There's some brands that we've worked with, they've created like astrology pages and stuff, and these are big brands, and they're flying. Like that, the volume of content they've got on there and the volume of views and interactions crazy. So yeah, I think it's something that every brand, if that's your audience, or potentially your audience is going to be them at some stage in the very near future, you've got to have a presence on there. Got to.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a lot.
Especially like we had the baby wear brand. She was doing all the trying of all like the baby grows, and not baby grows, what you put the baby in. I don't have kids, you know what I mean.
Hannah,
the baby carriers, the baby
yeah,
carriers. Like, even though she was getting so many views, but it was driving so many people to her websites. Then from a retargeting point of view on Facebook, there was such a greater pool of people that we could retarget for our website visitors because of everyone coming over from TikTok.
Yeah, it's a great example, actually. Yeah, Hannah was doing the tutorials, wasn't she, on how to put on a baby carrier, how you fit your baby on, and something like that. And actually, this is where I guess, I was reading all this and obviously looking at these stats, is looking at how you can inspire people, how you can get away from, some of these issues, which are things like how does the product fit on me, trying to get, again, more of that sort of physical store aspect to an e-commerce store. You can do that via places like TikTok. Look at Instagram Lives now and Facebook Lives. I know I wrote an article about this a long time ago, but it's the new QVC, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, I think so.
And you can actually, some of these issues that we're even reading here now that people that they're not buying online for certain reasons, you can actually avoid some of these, can't you, by having that live aspect to it?
Yeah, definitely. I think, and that's where like the live element comes in. Like, even some of our like lead gen clients, like, I know it's not an e-com store, but if we're trying to get people, we have a client where she's trying to get people to sign up to her membership or to purchase her course. What works best for her is getting people onto like a live masterclass, a webinar, and then selling to them that way. It's worked so much better than just going straight to cold via a static or a video on a Facebook ad. So it's, do you know what it is? It's that added value, isn't it? Is that person to person interaction, which we have lacked over the last 12 months. It gives us that little bit of human touch, I think.
But I think a lot of e-commerce stores, and it's probably because of drop shippers in a way, there's not been people that have had their own brands. Obviously, there's vast amount out there. We know there are, but there's obviously millions of drop shippers out there, and they don't really care about the product. As long as I can sell it X, my marketing cost is Y, and I can ship it at X. There's my margin. And I think especially if you've got your own brand out there, whether it's Biltong or Nomad Eyewear or whatever that may be, I think sometimes, and that's why it works so well with lead gen, there's a face to it. A lot of these e-commerce brands are, I call them faceless men, because you don't know anything about them. They're just, oh, that's cool. Whereas if you've got someone, you're talking through the product, you can, not that you're selling it as such, but you can really hear their passion for the product. How it fits, or if it's sunglasses, or how it looks. I think a lot can be learned from e-commerce stores, from lead generation, and how they market themselves in a lot of occasions. Not all the time, but yeah, I definitely think that some of those can be learned and actually be sort of pulled across and test. There's no reason why it can't work. But even like trainers and stuff, like I get them all the time. I need to buy some real running trainers. I'm getting marketed to the nth degree, and I've just got a New Balance for a shoe, and I'm like, but what is that shoe? How is that going to help me? If someone's on there explaining, well, actually, this is why this is the best trail shoe out there, I'd probably watch it, to be fair, Liv, and I'd probably go, do you know what? I get that now. And I think, a lot of brands have just forgotten that there is actually someone out there that doesn't understand it. If you work to lowest common denominator, you won't go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what it comes down to. You've got to speak to them like this is the first time they've ever heard of any product. You've got to speak to them if they're stupid, basically. You've just got to, you have got to do that, in some respects. Otherwise, if they've got, do you know what it is? Not that stupid. If they have to think too much, they're going to get bored and click off it. They'll find something they know.
Mm.
You know, you don't want to give that overwhelming feeling of like, God, I've got to do my research before I purchase these. You want to find it all in one place and just press pay. Shortest funnel.
That's what it is. That's what it is. So so we'll go on to how people budget now, and obviously their spending habits. So how do you budget for spending? So in 2020, we had 34% of people didn't have a budget. In 2021, 38% of people now don't have a budget for clothes, accessory, or shoes. But I can sort of understand why that went up, but it wouldn't be something that, if I was in that space, would be overly concerned about. I have a strict budget I stick to. Now that in 2020 was 34%, and that went up to 35%. So that's good. And then I have a loose budget, and that's I try to stick to. In 2020, it was 31%, and that shot down to 26% in 2021. Now, obviously, we've had the pandemic. I think the one thing that I didn't realise with this is, and Liv, shout me if I'm talking absolute tosh here, but who the hell has a budget for clothes every month?
I don't know. Not me.
Like your friends, like you're younger than I am, but your friends, do you think some of them have like put away 100 quid a month or 50 quid? Shoes, accessories, clothes, and apparel and stuff? No?
Do you know what? I've never asked them. Maybe it is something that I should ask on my group chat.
Well, based on this, 26% of people do.
That's bizarre to me. I guess it depends how much you love fashion. Like, some people like wearing like things only a few times, don't they? And then keeping them and then wearing them again later on. So maybe it's more that they want to keep refreshing that wardrobe. Like a lot of people have like seasonal stuff, don't they? So maybe it's refreshing. They're saving up to refresh it each season.
Maybe, yeah, potentially.
Maybe.
It was just one thing that I didn't know. Obviously, I know people budget, and I budget for certain, certainly for certain things, but fashion and stuff, I just, I can see I can see why people do it, heard people on nights out, speak like that, which I understand, I get all that. But yeah, that was one thing that that really just, I was looking at going, oh, I don't have a budget for clothes, maybe I should.
Oh, I'm on mute. Can you hear me again now?
I can hear you again.
Oh my AirPods keep dropping in and out. I didn't hear you a minute ago. But it's such a bizarre concept to me, I think. I guess I've just never been that much into fashion that I'd have to be like, I know I'm spending too much money, so I'm going to have to budget myself every month.
And then this next bit is, I think everyone needs to listen to this. So how likely are you to bring a purchase forward if you can pay in installments? 28% said very, and 45% of people said pretty fairly. I'd bring it forward. So obviously with PayPal now, you can pay in 3 or 4 installments. I think off the top of my head, it's one of those. I think knowing that, again, for a lot of this population, Gen Z is 28%, the millennials is 27%, 45% of Gen Z said they would, fairly confidently bring a purchase forward if they could pay in installments. It's huge amount of people.
See, to me, that I wouldn't. Maybe that's just a way. I wonder if that's like to do the way you've been brought up sort of thing. Because I would personally never do that. Like I've always been brought up, if you don't have the money to buy something, don't buy it. But yeah, I don't know. That's just me and how my mum's taught me. But whereas I know like some of, well, I guess when you buy a house, you buy people buy like sofas and all that stuff on finance because it's better to pay it over governments rather than forking it out all in one go. I know it's a lot more expensive to buy a sofa than it is a dress, but to me, I know, but to me, that that's me because I would personally never do that. I would thought that would have been like much lower. But I guess like over last year, disposable income has gone down because if people haven't been working or they're being more conscious and things.
Well, you've got furlough, that's obviously coming to an end. But yeah, that's one thing that 28%, let's say on average 27% across the two, would more likely to, are very likely to bring that purchase forward if credit was available, whether that's through PayPal or Klarna, like you said originally. You've got to look into them. You've got to, absolutely. If you've got a fashion brand or you're selling shoes, whatever that is, that has to be now looked into from your perspective based on the data we've got here, which is, like I said, live on the same. I don't buy a huge amount, especially in this sort of market anyway. But yeah, it was crazy. That's a lot. That's a lot of people that would move things around for credit. It's a huge amount.
Yeah, definitely.
But apart from that, I think there's loads more on here. But do you want to touch on the rental side at all? I don't think.
Yeah, when we were sort of chatting about the podcast today, you were saying that one of the main things that sort of like you couldn't believe was the fact that people rent clothes. And I was saying to you, one of our clients, Zena, she obviously non-related to Facebook ads, when she did her shoots and stuff, and she spoke about our Instagram loads of times, rather than like buying like all these unique pieces, whether it's dresses, suits, that sort of thing, she like rents them because she only needs them for a specific occasion. She's not going to wear them over and over again because like she's like known for wearing like amazing like scarlet blue suit. So I'm not going to wear that walking down the high street every day, but it's great for a picture. So it's more cost effective and eco-friendly. It comes into that whole ethics thing again to rent stuff. You get more option because your money, you're only spending a proportion of what you'd say pay for a more expensive piece, and you can wear multiple of them if you rent.
Yeah, I just like us, I know when we spoke earlier, obviously look, I know charity stores and all that stuff, but when I saw, so 63% of Gen Z and millennials have bought secondhand items in this space. I just thought that was crazy.
But do you know why that is though? Well, what I think that is.
Go on.
Because the whole new fashion now is like 80s, 90s fashion.
Yeah, well, I was going to say
so that's where the second-hand stuff comes into. So like, I mean, obviously charity shops, but also Urban Outfitters is very like reclaimed old pieces. So that's why I think that's probably higher than we would have thought about even a year, 18 months ago, because the fashion's coming back around of the whole like sporty, cool 80s, 90s vibe.
Yeah, well, like I said, I noticed, and I was speaking to a prospect a year ago now, and he has a few stores in Birmingham which are all secondhand clothes. That's what he does, and he said it was booming then. But yeah, when I saw this stat, I was like, I bet he's doing well. But yeah, it was interesting, that was such a high percentage of actually purchase a secondhand item, and yeah, they would again, which is crazy. I think 16% of both groups have never purchased and wouldn't ever consider it. So you've got 84% there of people that would consider it, essentially.
Yeah,
which is massive, isn't it? It's just I'm not saying everyone who's if anyone's got a fashion label that they go into that now, but I think something that it's opened my eyes up. Definitely, could that work in jewelry? I know obviously there's a market for that in the high end. The Kim Kardashians of the world and all that stuff. But you just never know, do you? Maybe there is some opportunities out there where rental is very profitable.
Yeah, and like as you said, at the minute, I think it's very much known in like the celebrity industry wearing one piece once, and they're all just like borrowed or rented or whatever off the brand. But I think it's going to become more mainstream for everyday people.
Well, and do you think that celebrity influence has definitely sort of brought that forward?
I would say so. I would say that, like, especially people that are like keen onto fashion and want to wear something different every time they go out, why would they spend £100-200? Some people do, I know, on like a dress to go out for an evening when they might not then wear it again because it's so out there or whatever. I think I think celebrities and influencers have a massive part to play in renting or borrowing or whatever that may be.
Yes, there's a lot here that I've been quite. Well, I said you didn't know. I was shocked by some of it. I think the
Yeah,
key takeaways, I guess, when reading this is there's still a place for physical stores, and I think that's really. I think that's massive for the high street, definitely. And I think people that have local businesses, I think they just need to tap into that audience more, and whether that's via paid ads, which obviously we're a big believer of here, but I definitely think that you need to utilize those platforms. You utilize TikTok. If you're a coffee shop, do some TikToks. Some of the ones that are most successful are ones painting walls and nights, and all that stuff. Crazy. So I think you've got to get across all those. Across all those platforms. Sorry. And I think from an e-commerce perspective, something I've taken away from this is how can you bring that physical store aspect to your e-commerce store? And we know it's hard, and obviously, like we said, you can't have a DJ in the corner like you would at the Bullring. But I think there are some things that can be done. Whether that's live.
I've just thought of a great example actually. I want to say it's Mac. I may be wrong. Mac, you can now, like, on there when you shop on your phone, you want to buy a new lipstick offline. It's hard to tell what color you like or how it look on you. They've got like is it like an AR filter, and it puts the lipstick on you. So innovative. I can't never say that word. Innovative.
Yeah.
Brings that shopping experience from being in a store to online. Obviously not quite the same, but
nobody's bridging the gap, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't, even if it ups, the conversion rate by 10%, it's huge. Mac, what Mac have done there is fantastic. And it's a bit like people selling houses that you can do this CAD designs now, and you can do the walkthroughs and stuff. It's great, and it definitely bridges that gap. Some people still want to go, they'll still want to go try it on in store. We know that, and you're never going to convert these people and those types of consumers. But I think definitely from bringing that physical store into an e-commerce online environment, having that, even if it's just like a live webcam chat, so you can ask someone.
I tell you who's great for that. So we bought our TV unit next to me off the Cotswold company, furniture company.
Of course you did. You did.
So this is an investment in lockdown. We saved some money, wanted a new TV unit. We thought, brilliant, perfect time to buy one. I was wanted to ask a question about one, delivery time, because it's when the barge got stuck, right? But also on the colour, because the colour looked a bit funny on the line to the swatch. Literally, I popped a question in the chat. The next thing I know, at my laptop, someone's talking to me, and I was like, hello? And it was like, oh, hi, it's Jess from the Cotswold company. She's like, oh, don't worry, I can't see you, but I thought I'd answer your question on chat. And I was like,
perfect.
Hold on. It was amazing. She answered all my questions, and it was like, but I was mind blown. And that was brilliant because she was able to get like a real life swatch and show me up to camera so you could see it in real life rather than just on screen. Absolutely amazing. I literally was like mind blown.
But you've then, you've eased concerns.
Yeah.
You've had a good experience, and you're more likely to go back, aren't you?
Yeah, 100%.
So they've brought that physical aspect in, haven't they? Just by that. And it doesn't have to be I know it's quite daunting, isn't it? Especially when you set up a Shopify site or you spend a load on Magento and stuff, but it doesn't have to be crazy. I generally believe having some of these a few of these little aspects involved, whether that's live chat or someone on camera showing you a shoe or something, or talking through why you need to buy that trail shoe as an example. Obviously, I need to buy something. That's the reason why I'm talking about it. But if they talk me through it, why I wouldn't go to one running opposed to where I usually go, why would I come to them instead?
Yeah.
So I think there's the physical stores clearly hasn't gone away, which is good. We need the high street to continue, don't we? We need to get that. We need to get that back back going the way it was. But the e-commerce stores and online is definitely not going away. And the ones that are succeeding are people like the Cotswolds Company who are going above and beyond.
Yeah, it's that user experience, isn't it? They've taken they've taken the shop aspect and put it online, which is fab.
Massively.
I was very impressed. Yeah.
Well, what a way to end, Liv.
Great way to end it.
Our roadcast.
Our roadcast.
Well, Nick doesn't know we're doing this, so he's going to get a text tomorrow going, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "Well, we don't need you anymore, Nick. It's fine."
No. Wow. I hope you haven't got bored of us and listened right to the very end of the podcast.
Probably
Enjoyed our ramblings. Well,
because if they're not listening, if they're not into e-commerce, they'd have switched off pretty quickly to this. But it's good. Like I said, when I saw that report last night, I thought it'd be really good to give some of these stats over, because it's a very detailed report, and yeah, I think it's fantastic. So yeah, if you've got an e-commerce store and you're worried about things like should I invest in Klarna or PayPal, and all that stuff, there's people there that want, there's loads. So yeah.
Wow. If you want to find out more and read a bit more in depth, it's extremely long list of charts, and it's very insightful. We'll pop the link in the bio, as they say, of the podcast, and you can go and check it out.
We sound like podcasters now.
Proper podcasters.
Yeah. Well, Liv, thank you for your time, as always.
Oh, thanks for having me.
We've had each other. We've not. This is our domain. So we're just here.
We've proper taken over, haven't we?
We have. But no, thanks for that. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And the next person you'll listen to is Nick rambling on. So, Liv, I'll see you later.
See you later.